Welcome to another Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm going to get back to Mildred Clingerman in this video. I have previously started with her first short story titled Minister Without Portfolio. This video I'm going to cover her next story, which was Winning Recipe. And Winning Recipe was a short story written or published in Collier's magazine for June 21st, 1952. Now, Collier's was not a science fiction pulp magazine. It was what they called a slick magazine, like Saturday Evening Post. They published fiction, but they published a much wider variety of fiction, mostly what we would call literary fiction. They published some very big name authors, but in the 1950s and even in the late 1940s, they did start publishing work by some very well-known science fiction authors, namely Robert Heinlein and Ray Bradbury. And they did publish this one by Mildred Clingerman titled Winning Recipe. Now, I don't have a copy of that issue of Collier's, nor do I have a PDF of it to read from. I read the story in this book, which I bought brand new. You can still buy this brand new. I just bought my copy earlier this year. The Clingerman Files, collected works of Mildred Clingerman. And it is most of her short stories in here, and it's a very good book. Not very expensive. It's just a trade paperback. It's by a smaller publisher. Might even be self-published. Size 5.5B publishing. I don't know. Anyway, that's where I read Winning Recipe, and I'm going to be reading a lot of Mildred Clingerman's stories as I go through her entire bibliography from this book. And you'll see right on the book, it says 2014 Cordwainer Smith Rediscovery Award winner. That's an award to books which bring back fiction by older authors that are being forgotten, which definitely describes Mildred Clingerman. She's a major science fiction fantasy author from the 1950s, and she is not really talked about today, which is sad. Anyway, Winning Recipe. You have a housewife. This is 1952, mind you. Okay. You have a housewife. Her husband is buying her whatever appliances she wants for the kitchen. He keeps just bringing home the latest, greatest appliances. And the story is set in the near future where there are more computerized appliances, and he brings one home that is capable of pulling up, preparing, and cooking any recipe. It's obviously computerized, it's big, takes up a lot of the kitchen, and, well, the wife has her recipes that she thinks are the best, and so she tests out this new appliance to see if it's really capable of doing recipes as good as hers or better. And she's jealous when it turns out. She's jealous, and she feels threatened when this machine is able to turn out some really good recipes. The specific situation is very 1950s, but the general idea here is something that we're experiencing today with AI replacing workers in certain industries. It's still a timely subject matter, but if you read it, you got to understand the 1950s context and the fact that she chose that as the dramatic example of how technology might displace people. It's a well-written story, but because of that, it is kind of dated. So you have to read it with a grain of salt. You have to read it with an understanding of context in order to like it much. Otherwise, it's a very short story and there's not much to it. So that was her second story. Not quite as good as Minister Without Portfolio. Her third story is titled Stair Trick, and that will be my next Mildred Clingerman read. So, have you read Winning Recipe? If so, leave your comments in the comment section. Otherwise, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and keep coming back for more Mildred Clingerman and all the other content we do on Telltale Books.